called a veil, secretly or esoteric meaning, because it's literally over your face and you can't see it. And what it is really not being trained to see it, and therefore a metaphor, a veil. What also happens when we juggle through this memory is that we're able to see extra dimensional beings, but usually to the end of the conscious waking state. So while you're sleeping, when you're dipping into that state between, you see, it's like theta, but you think you're awake, but you can't be awake, because the rule of thumb is you can't see or feel anything when you're in delta. I think it's delta, but the sleep cycle right before theta. But what happens is your third eye opens, your pineal gland opens, and it can see these things as it's jostling through your visual cortex and its memory in the right side and the left side of your brain. It's called the visual cortex temporal lobe, I believe it's called. It stores it right here, and it's all your associations and your memories throughout the day is stored in your brain too. So it's going through shuttling. Oh, what did it see? It's associating this. And really and truly, our brains are working way too hard to associate it, because we can't see it. It's guessing everything, you know? It's like, oh, it's like tissue, you know? But in reality, your third eye can see it exactly as a tissue paper, but it has to go through all of these things because there's this veil, and now that's the veil. It acts as a dampening field, and you have to read Q-21 to understand why it's been installed in the first place, to make us stronger. I mean, it's a long story to tell you why. And then you go to 21, then you go to 31, then you go to 20, then you go to 30, then you can understand. And the interviews, so it's 21, 30, 31, or actually 21, 31, 30, 20. The interview numbers. So we're perceiving energy, we're not seeing it, we're feeling it. It feels weird, it feels strange. You know, it's like a stranger touching you that you don't know. Someone touches you that you're not aware, and it's weird because, you know, it's something that exists in our reality, but you can't confirm it. So you can only react to it, and because we're wired, we're gonna make it seem that it's bad for us. So, however, negative energy seems cold, dark, and strange. It makes us feel defensive, fearful, and paranoid. During these episodes, because our brain creates reality by bending light, and therefore manipulating atoms into manifesting reality, we perceive what we want, and voila, there's your explanation for night terrors, demonic possessions, and the terrorizing laughing. However, demonic possessions is really a byproduct of sleep paralysis, where your brain releases chemicals to prevent you from acting out your own dreams. This is actually a bona fide biological answer to what happens when you're prior to theta wave, and as your spiritual body believes it wakes up. So what happens is, it can happen in two ways. Right before you go to sleep, which means before you enter the dream world or the astral world, and something traumatic wakes you up, and if you have a lot of negative karma throughout the day for doing bad things, the chances are that as soon as you enter the spiritual world, you're going to have negative occurrences, negative energy attacking you, negative energy connecting to you by default. It's going to want to in sync with you because you're vibrating at that same frequency, and it draws towards you, and sometimes you manifest it in that way. It's like a magnet. So it can't be averted, it can't be avoided. It's just a part of you until you get rid of it. So if you're doing bad things most of the day, the first thing that's going to be on your mind is negative. So as soon as you start going into the other world, your spirit is pure. And because of that, it's going to think, oh my God, I'm doing these bad things. And it can't leave this world and go into the other world until it's resolved these issues. So it's stuck. It's hovering right above your body, or it's still in your body. And then sometimes some events are so terrible. Let's say someone kills someone, or let's say you're projecting such terrible energy that you want to kill someone. And it's not that extreme, but I mean, believe it. Because negative energy is primitive these days, because we do primitive things, because we're primitively wired. You have to read Q-20 to understand this, and go through 21, 31, and then 30 to understand exactly what I'm talking about. Because primitive energy is very bad. It's horrible, terrible, don't want nothing to do with it. You know, it's like people that run around and like say, you know, some people hit themselves in the head and they're like, I'm so stupid. That's bad because it kills brain cells. But they don't do enough damage to hurt their brains. But, I mean, it's clear that self-inflicting can be very harsh. What if a guy had a nail on a bat and they started hitting themselves? That's primitive. And it's negative, you know. And negative, you know what you're doing. Primitive, like when you're punishing, or when you're inflicting punishment. And even sad is negative, but sometimes negative is good because it teaches and it heals. Like sadness and crying is good for the soul. It's release of negative energy and recognition of in a requirement, in fulfillment towards a positive happening, occurrence. So these things, they happen, and in a nutshell, what's going on is that it cycles throughout your brain, and you're trapped, and your body's trapped. It has to compensate somehow, and it can't. So it shuttles throughout the day doing this, and then you wake up, and then because it's so your brain is actually so traumatized. And it's like, it's not traumatized, but it's like, you know, the two are linking together, and it's like, well, how could I do this? You know, that when you go back and you look into the movies, and you're like, how the hell did I do that? You know, what drove me to do something like that? And it's the same thing, because your spirit is so much evolved than you are, because it's so old. We're thousands and thousands of years old, and spiritually, and we keep reincarnating to learn. So, I mean, death is really just a cycle. But anyways, so it's cycling, and it has to, sooner or later, eventually gets rid of everything, and then it goes and it does its spiritual work. But that's the reason. The more negative karma you have, the more work you have to do here. That's why some people can't sleep. They're lying in their bed all night, and they're like, they're paranoid, and they're this and like that. And I'm telling you, not all the times, most of the times that's what's going on. And other times, in other instances where it becomes debilitation from a mental byproduct or a mental reaction, is because you're scared of sleep paralysis, which has nothing to do with night terrors and negative karma. And night terrors is just a facet of sleep paralysis. It's an answer to what it really is. And so, you know, it can't leave. So then two things happen. Your body and your spirit are always connected. And so when it leaves, okay, it astrally leaves. And, you know, it's weird. I just can't explain it. It's like you having two phones. You have a phone that's permanently in your brain, or permanently an earpiece. And then someone goes and takes it over there. That's astral traveling, because you can communicate with the phone, you can communicate with the environment, you can communicate with the people. That's exactly what's happening. So, but since the link is so, is like that psychically, and it feels what you're thinking, your brain sooner or later starts to pick up, oh my God, man, I'm doing these things, and it finally realizes in an epiphany moment, eureka moment, oh my God, I did these bad things, and it wakes up. But because you're in transition between two worlds, you can't, your body has induced chemicals to not allow you to move, but your eyes open. Your eyes open, and you think that your eyes are open, it's going to freak you out. Your eyes are not open. Okay? Sometimes your eyes open. I'm not too sure about this, but what I know for a fact is that you're seeing your body, and your body is seeing your spirit. That little ball of energy, or that little hunchback, or whatever you want to call it, that's your spirit. And why it can't interpret what the hell is going on is because it's feeling negative. So because it's feeling negative, it expresses negativity. So you're reacting because it's you and then it's not you. And so you're afraid because you want to bat and you want to smack it in the head. Because that's what we do. If we see a snake, we know it's slimy when it's not. Even if it's a baby and it's non-poisonous, we still want to kill it. Because we're primitively wired to see what we don't understand, we want to kill it. That's our instincts. So, eventually you're moving around, you can't move. It's the funniest thing. And why I give a hint of insecurity is because for the life of me, I still can't believe in myself that I know my head's moving, but it's not, because the chemicals in your body stop you from moving. Now I have to validate this, and I don't have enough time, but I'm probably about 95% correct, and for the exception. But I mean, your astral body can move around. I mean, it can come, it vibrates your aura. So I mean, it does these things. Just like when you saw that movie with Riddick, where that guy moves and his spirit moves and then his body moves. It's not a condition where he's thinking the movement. It's the act of him being so fast and his spirit moving first and his body being so slow moves after. But because he has this power, he's actually moving faster. So I mean, that's what your spirit can do. It's like kind of like a different kind of interpretation of what it's capable of doing when actually it's moving really quickly in the body. You can't separate the two, but you can astrally project, and like a holographic projection of yourself. And so it's that fear, and because we're trapped in our body, we can't move. And what happens is that two things happen. We start hearing a voice, because of all the bad things. And karma, being karma, it's going to laugh at you, it's going to taunt you, it's going to terrify you, it's going to show you pictures of demons, because that's what our brain sees. Our brain sees that, but not our mind. And in truth, demons and spirits, which are human ghosts, if they want to make their presence known to you, like when you go onto YouTube and you see EVP and you see spirits, you'll know what are spirits and what are demons. And demons, you can't see them. You could see their eyes, you could see a silhouette. You can't see them. Their vibrational state is so high that you can only see them if they want you to see them. So that's the difference. And so we're trapped, and the body's up there and you're up there. So I mean, we get really scared, and I've had experiences so many times that I feel that if in fact that I give up the fight, where I close my eyes and go to sleep, that I think that I'm dying. I know everyone gets this too. Why is that? Because what actually is happening is your mind is telling you to relax. And it says, look, I'm tired. I want to go do my work now. No? Are we done here? But it doesn't know how to talk to you. Because you're primitively wired. Your telepathy and your ESP doesn't work. Your sensing doesn't work. Your 7 and 8 intelligence are shelled. They're dormant. They can't work. Meanwhile, if it could, then it would actually tell you these things, but it can't, because it's not allowed to. So it's trapped, and it just wants to, so it just waits. And then you're terrified because you think you're going to die.